Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Invest 99E discussion for July 18th, 2020. It would be really awesome if you guys did hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell notifications so you guys do not miss my next video. I cannot believe that we're already more than halfway to 800 subscribers, so please help me get to my next short-term goal of 800 and the obviously more longer term goal of 1,000 subscribers. And another thing, please watch the whole video because this really does help me grow my channel, and it's a win-win. You know, you get the best weather content and I get watch time, which I really do need for my channel. And also please like and share this video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So again, as you can see, we have Invest 99E in the tropical Pacific, in the eastern Pacific Ocean here. And shower activity has increased this morning, during the morning into early afternoon, in association with this is a tropical wave 1,100 miles southwest of the southern tip of the Baja California Peninsula. The system will be moving west-northwest direction here, more of like a west-northwestward direction. And there could be some development late this weekend, maybe early next week, but like I said, after that, it will be entering less favorable conditions towards midweek. Through the next 5 days, this does have a 50% chance to develop. And let's take a look at the current storm information here by Tropical Tidbits. And you can see the current winds are 20 knots or 25 miles per hour. Pressure a little high right now at 1,009 millibars. Radius and maximum winds about 50 nautical miles. So it's not a huge storm by any means, but it's a tropical wave that we definitely do need to watch for development, and this will be moving again in the west direction. So could it affect Hawaii? It's certainly possible. All right, but that would be very long term. As you can see by the satellite imagery, this looks like it is battling some shear. I can see some shear coming out of the more of a west-southwest direct or southwest direction. As you can see right here, how these clouds are kind of moving in this direction. So it's battling a little bit of shear, and because the storm's moving west and the shear is coming from the southwest, that's kind of helping to push all the moisture towards the north a little bit. So that's how you know that shear is present. I don't really see a sustained low center. If you look at the National Hurricane Center, obviously they did mark a little X, like the point of where it is. But again, it's probably the storm has been moving since then, and there really isn't a clear low center. It's somewhere in here. All right, but to me, it's just a tropical wave right now. Okay, it's a jumbled area of convection. All right, still a lot of convection though. There's a lot of rain and thunderstorm activity associated with this system. So, and because it's in the Pacific Ocean, we cannot, rule out these storms. These storms, you can underestimate them, but these storms can go pretty strong in the Eastern Pacific if the conditions are just right. So here's the 99E track, and as you can see by the GEPS models and tracks, that this storm will be moving in the northwest and then bending towards the west, and maybe possibly hitting Hawaii. Like I said, that's a little bit far out at this point. But I will keep you guys updated if it is heading for Hawaii and if it's even still a storm by then. But as you can see, that it could even be weakening over the next 3, 4, or 5 days that some of the models say here. Now, like I said, it's kind of, I'm not saying it's early to tell, but we still have a few days before the system will probably develop, maybe like 3, 4, or 5 days. So we still got some time. But you can see that this storm will be moving northwest and eventually taking a westward turn. But look at the GEFS tracks, and you can see that the storms do hold their strength for a little bit longer. The storm does look a little bit more intense according to the GEFS tracks. And all the tracks pointing just south of Hawaii here. And the way the wind flows around the low pressure system is sitting just south of Hawaii, you might be thinking, okay, it's not a landfall, Hawaii is safe. They're not completely safe, because when a low stays just south of Hawaii like that, that can help to bring in that east flow that can really still bring a lot of waves to Hawaii. And remember, it's an island, so it's surrounded by water. A lot of even if the winds are coming out of the east direction, and you live on the west side of the island, you might be thinking, okay, we're fine. You still can have some rip current and wave issues. Maybe not as many coastal flooding issues because the winds are coming from this way, and you live on the west coast, let's say. But still, Hawaii is an island surrounded by water, and it will get some big waves from this storm system if it does happen to trek in that direction. And according to the GEFS tracks, over the next 6, 7 days, that certainly is a possibility. Now, the intensity guidance, like I said, this Invest is most likely newly named. I'm pretty sure this is a very newly named invest, so not many models have picked up on it yet. The ones that have picked up on it don't really make it a tropical storm, but you will see stuff in the modeling later that it could possibly become a tropical storm. Once you get more modeling to pick up on the storm system, again, this is just recently named an invest, so once we get more modeling to pick up on it, I think we'll definitely get a better idea. But still a strong tropical depression. I mean, even if it doesn't get to a tropical storm, a strong tropical depression can still cause some problems here. So as you saw by National Hurricane Center, the storm is located at approximately 125, 126 degrees west and approximately 14 or 15 degrees north. So it's most likely sitting in this area, which is just leave those extremely warm waters, at least far above average waters. It's still sitting in moderately above average sea surface temperatures, and probably will be the case for a decent amount of time. I will be showing now CDAS and another source for ocean water temperatures as well, so you can get an idea of both. But you can see that there is a little cool patch off to the north and west, so we'll see. But for now, it looks like it's got a decent journey now and through the next couple of days. But we're going to have to see. I mean, that's just in terms of the ocean water here. When you look at the actual ocean water temperatures, if it happens to get north of 15 or 16 degrees north latitude, it's going to leave those 80-degree waters. But if it can stay south of 16, 15 north latitude, it will be able to remain in those water temperatures in the low 80s, maybe some mid 80s in terms of ocean water temperatures. Now, we're also going to be looking at the, this is like the NOAA, the Sst Anomalies here. All right, and as you can see, I'm going to try and zoom in here for you guys. There we go. All right, so the storm is right about here. All right, sitting in this area, and it could be moving. I mean, there's some cooler waters in the way, heading towards Hawaii. But like I said, in the short term, in the near future, the storm does have a decent path ahead of it. All right, you look at the Atlantic though. That'll be exciting to talk about next hurricane discussion. If you guys ring the bell notifications, you'll know when that comes out. Maybe some warming waters out in the Atlantic. But anyway, if it does have to battle some cooler waters before Hawaii, that's a lifesaver for Hawaii, because obviously that means the storm's going to be a little bit weaker. But like I said, if it can stay south of a certain latitude, even though the waters may be a little bit below average, the waters can still be 80 degrees plus, because waters by Hawaii are typically warm anyway. So even if the waters are only like a half a degree Celsius below average, still the storm can still gain some strength if the waters are warm enough. And we look at the actual water temperatures according to the NOAA Sst Anomaly here. You can see that we do have some pretty some more yellow and orangish colors representing 26, 27, maybe closer to 28 here throughout the storm's journey. But like I said, if you can get north of a certain point, maybe enter some of those green colors where the water temperatures are less than 25 degrees Celsius, less than 78 or so, and maybe that's a slightly more of a lifesaver for Hawaii. But if it stays south, all right, and it heads towards Hawaii heading southward, then that's going to be bad for Hawaii. So like I said, different track scenarios are in place. Okay, and depending on what the track takes, that's what that'll be the impacts that Hawaii will see depending on the track. This is pretty much all track dependent. That's how storms are in the Pacific. All right, if you track south enough, you can stay in those warmer waters, the storm can intensify. But if it makes like a north and then more of a west turn, then we start to enter those cooler waters and the storm starts to dissipate. But either way, you can see according to the MSLP here, still some very heavy rainfall. According to the GFS model, look at the pressure, 1,003 millibars by Monday morning here. And this is when it's going to be at its strongest. As you can see, 1,002, 1,004 millibars of pressure here, 2 a.m. on Tuesday. So it's looking like a pretty decent tropical storm here, according to the GFS model. But then it eventually starts wearing out. And when we start to look towards, Friday morning, and you can see it's just a bunch of showers that head towards Hawaii. We still have a sustainable low center, quote-unquote low center here. But still, some darker greens, and still Hawaii could still see some, especially the Big Island there, we could still see some moderate rainfall that this storm could bring from the east here. But other than that, I don't think this will be a major threat to Hawaii, at least according to the GFS model. But when we look at the surface winds here, at least according to the GFS model, they think that winds are already at 43 knots, which is completely incorrect because it's not even a named tropical cyclone yet. But as you head forward in time, here's where it starts to develop into a tropical storm with winds of 36 knots, which, if you do not know, you need 34 knots for a tropical storm, which is equivalent to about 39 to 40 miles per hour. Still a tropical storm here. There's a little speck of green there, so still a tropical storm by Monday afternoon as it continues its trek on to the west. Still holding at 36 knots, which is barely a tropical storm by 2 a.m. Wednesday. So, again, as we head towards midweek, things start to change a little bit. Storm starts to get a little weaker. But still, Thursday morning, 5 days out, it's still holding its strength. Low is in a good position. We got your strongest winds to the north and northeast of the storm center, which is good and it's typical of what we see in a tropical storm. And then the low still 1,012 millibars is still some decent. We still got some decent low pressure in this storm system, but winds still 38 knots, so maybe some gusty winds passing 40 miles an hour for Hawaii. Like I said, if this storm is still together, and hopefully I'll be able to do another update on this, then we'll be able to see what really happens to Hawaii. But let's take a look at the cyclonic vorticity signature now with the GFS model. And if you guys watch my channel before, you know that the GEM model will be after the GFS model, so stick around for that. But here's the GFS model. I'll be able to show you where the storm system is. All right, and it's going to be, if you look on towards the left side of your screen here, right about here, there is your low right there. Obviously, the low itself, there's some strung out energy with it, but the low itself is sitting right about there. All right, as we head forward in time, there's your low, 84 hours out, and heading right towards Hawaii. And we're gonna have to see, because again, depending on which track it takes, that might affect how the storm actually turns out. Let's actually head towards the Central Pacific, so we can actually, I might have to switch my maps a couple times so you can see how this heads towards Hawaii. And again, this is something separate behind it, but this is Invest 99E right there, where I've just circled in black. And you can see, we still got some decent energy. Once that low gets close enough to Hawaii, we see these little waves of energy start developing. And that's what happens when a lot of these low pressure systems start passing south of Hawaii. We get these little waves of red that start developing. These little waves and these little bands of energy that do develop. And that could obviously enhance rainfall, again, because of the mountainous slope as well. All right, then another low after that, but there was your low pressure system right there passing just south of Hawaii. Maybe about 50, can't really tell, about 100 miles maybe, just to the south of Hawaii, according to the GFS model. Now, how about the wind shear anomalies? Again, I'm going to go to the Central Pacific here just for Hawaii's sake. As you can see, over the next 5 days, we do have some above average shear ahead of this. Like I said, that could be what this system is battling here. But 20th to the 25th, as the storm starts nearing Hawaii, we start to see some more average wind shear environment, according to the GFS model, which is nothing too out of the ordinary here. But this is 22nd to the 27th here. The storm is actually gone from, it's pretty much moved on from Hawaii by this point, but maybe some below average wind shear coming behind that, which is bad because the next tropical storm that could potentially be passing through, which I'm not saying there's anything else developing right now, but if another tropical storm were to pass through here, it would have some more favorable conditions, which is not good for Hawaii. Before I move on to the GEM model, just want to take a look at the ship's diagnostic message. Again, if you watch my hurricane tracking videos, you know that I like using this map. As you can see, it won't be impacting Hawaii till out here, like between 144 168. This is when it starts to impact Hawaii, but we're not looking there yet. If you look at the wind shear as of right now, it's remaining less at or just less than 10 knots, at least for the next couple of days or so. But as you start to head towards 60, 96, 120 hours out, the wind shear starts to get higher. We're talking about well into the double digits, closer to 23, 24 miles per hour. So intensifying shear, but like I said, this isn't completely horrible until it starts heading towards Hawaii, 25, 30 knots. Then we're starting to see some wind shear closer to 35 miles per hour, and that's the more unfavorable conditions. In terms of the ocean water, that's going to be another problem. This is the GFS version of it, and as you can see, 28, 27, 26, which isn't bad, at least for the next 24 hours. But look at this. According to the GFS version of the ship's diagnostic message here, our ocean water could be dropping to 22 degrees Celsius the rest of the way through, maybe going up to 23.5 before it hits Hawaii. But still, that's like low 70s, low to mid 70s, which is I'm not completely unfavorable, but 22 degrees Celsius, to have a sustainable tropical storm or hurricane, you would need about 26.5, 27 degrees Celsius for in terms of tropical development, and 22 just really doesn't cut it here. In terms of the storm speed, moving at a pretty good clip, close to 20 miles an hour, maybe dropping to 15 miles an hour. But notice how the movement slows down as it heads towards Hawaii. That's going to be the big thing you're going to be watching out for. The storm could be slowing down to a grueling 5, 6, 7 miles per hour, which it's not stationary, but it's still moving very slow. But the good thing is that the heat content will be dying out as we head throughout time. So the highest heat content levels is now, which is 12, which is still pretty low, and then it'll be dropping to just about 0 in the next day or so. But as long as those ocean water temperatures can hold, if this does take a more southerly track and somehow pass south of Hawaii, I think we could have a decent tropical entity on our hands, whether it be a tropical depression, whether it be a tropical storm. I think the odds 50-50, but it's still, the odds are good for development here. And here's the GEM model now. So as you can see, GEM model not really too confident in the storm system. As you can see through Monday afternoon, towards Wednesday afternoon, I mean, we still got a decent low center. All right, we got some rain around it, but it doesn't look too organized by this point. Maybe gaining a little bit more convection again as we head towards 2 a.m. Thursday with a lot of more reds and some very heavy rainfall. So watch out because it's starting to close in on Hawaii at this point. All right, and then after that brief re-strengthening period, the low just kind of dies out. And I don't even know where this is because it's already past Hawaii by this point. All right, but there's your low right there at about 8 p.m. Thursday. And if we look at how strong the winds are going to get, those surface winds, those are always important to look at when determining a tropical storm. And you can see that after its brief little re-strengthening period, maybe getting close to about 31.5, maybe close to 32 knots. So which is very close to a tropical storm. That's like more of a tropical or subtropical depression. Like I said, when the National Hurricane Center gives this storm a 50% chance to develop, that just gives it a 50% chance to develop to at least a tropical depression. That doesn't guarantee a tropical storm. 50% doesn't mean 50% chance of a tropical storm. It just means 50% chance of a tropical depression. Now, could it become a storm after that? Yes. But it's not, 50% doesn't mean 50% chance of a tropical storm. Just want to put that out there. So if this storm ends up developing to a tropical depression and nothing more, don't say, oh, National Hurricane Center, you were wrong. Technically, no, they were actually correct. Now, looking at the cyclonic vorticity signature, again, this is not the storm we're looking at. This is Invest 99E right here, heading in a westerly direction. But look how this drops it southward. Now, I might be thinking, well, you said that it's going to get stronger if it tracks south, right? Yes, I did. However, when a storm moves northwest like that, and it starts all of a sudden moving southwest, when a storm comes from the northeast and moves southwestward, that really messes up the way the storm is shaped, basically. Even if the wind shear is low here, when a storm moves from northeast to southwest like that, that really messes up its figure. If it was just moving, due west the whole time, that's one thing. But if it's moving northwest and then southwest, that's going to mess up the storm's shape and its figure. All right, because I've seen storms in the Eastern Pacific take these tracks before, and it's happened a lot. So according to the GEM model, you can see how the storm just dies out. All right, this is something separate. This is 99E right here. But you still got these little wisps, as I call it, wisps of energy still coming off of Hawaii. So this could still enhance, this could still spark showers and thunderstorms for Hawaii. As you can see, across the entire East Pacific, we do have, again, above average wind shear, which is the one thing staying in the storm system's way. If you go to Central Pacific, the same holds true. Maybe closer to average as we head through 25th, 26th of July, but pretty much some above average wind shear that could be staying in the way. But still, we got the odds, 50-50 odds for development. I think it could, as the odds are in its favor, with the exception of wind shear for development. So we're going to have to watch the storm system. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Joe Weather Dude, signing off. Until next time. Catch you guys next video.